The very first time you see something work that you've made, it's very magical. Suddenly you feel like, this is my door, this is my little door into this massive world. I had this silly idea, and now suddenly this idea is growing into an actual experience. That made me very, very excited. It's very emotional. You're like, whew, holy, I can make everything I want. This is not how a crocodile sounds. Ooh. I see game design to be the glue between the game and the player and trying to make that magic happen, That vision that game designers usually have in mind. They try to look at all the tiny details that eventually, if you add them up, result in this actual experience or this feeling. I put design first and foremost in what I make. I might have a vision for something that I want the player to feel or to experience, and then I try to shape everything around that. All sounds in Hint, folks, are mouth-made sounds. The reason we did that was because it was by far the easiest way to add sounds to the game. And then, when we saw that in action, we realized, hey, you know what? This actually works really well. Everything in Hint, folks, starts with Sylvain and I brainstorming on a theme, and Sylvain will just sit down and draw a lot of stuff. These sprite sheets, we have dozens of these. As you can see here, if we zoom in a little bit, this box is one object. And even on top of this box, there are already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objects. And if we zoom out, you're gonna start to appreciate how much work goes into this, because there are almost 20,000 objects in this. Each manually placed and sorted. It's so much work. Making games is super hard. It's really baffling to me that people can make games in the first place because it requires so many perspectives and so many roles. I want to see how other people are doing it, what tricks they use, how they can survive doing all this. We're gonna go to Prague, Montreal, Los Angeles, and Melbourne to see a bunch of indies, to talk to them, to see what drives them, what inspires them, and how they make their games. What's fascinating is that every indie around the world has their own ideas of how to do it. They make different kinds of games, they have different passions, they have different methods, different team sizes. Everything's different about every indie. This is a long story, it's horrible. The first time I heard about Amanita design was when I played Machinarium. Pretty quickly after that, I discovered Samaros 3, and I was totally in love with everything they did ever since that. One of the reasons for that is, of course, their visual style, but also sometimes games can give you these experiences that sort of exceed the game. You're just messing around with it, and suddenly something happens, and it turns out that your messing around with it was actually part of the design of the game. Amanita Design does this trick all the time. They're so good at it, and I think that makes them very unique. If I knock, if they're gonna be here. Ah, there they are. Hey!
Hey!
Hey! Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Sure. Come here.
So how was your flight day, Trevor? Say again? How was your flight? The flight?
But
it was,
the question why I started to making proper big games is probably naivety. When you start, you always think, okay, it will be fine. This will be simple projects, just a few backgrounds, a few animations, and I put it together, and it will be fine. And in the end, another 5 years later, you are completely burnt out, and the game is out.
Actually, I want to take me A to Z through how this whole process works, because I'm seeing a lot of like sprite sheets here. I'm seeing 3D actual models, and so where does it start? How does this start?
There's a lot of work in our games. We always choose the hard way how to get to the result or to our goal. But even though our games are pretty successful, nobody tries to copy them. It's so hard that nobody would even try.
Too much work.
Too much work.
I think that the thing about Amanita games that all of them have in common is this handcrafted quality. Everything is made by people who actually love what they're doing, and that the person was not making it just for profit and to make a living, but because they need some sort of a artistic expression.
Why do you choose to do it the hard way? Why?
It's a difficult question, but I think because we love the craftsmanship. Ultimately, that's part of why we do it, because we love the work itself. And the other thing is that we love the great result, and I just don't believe that there is easy way how to get to great result.
If I understand correctly, what you guys are doing, you start off digitally drawing something, then you make it physical, then you put some physical stuff over it, and then you make it digital again, and then you put it in a game. So that's the whole.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you guys do this?
We just want handmade.
The handmade feel.
Yes.
Right.
We are a studio driven by artists, not by programmers, and that's quite kind of important.
Yeah.
And also, it takes us several years to finish one game.
Yeah.
So that's our way.
Yeah.
And we believe it makes sense because you can feel the work behind it.
Right. With Amanita's Designs games, it will often be the case that there's this funny scenario and you're just so intrigued by it that you completely forget what the goals are. And suddenly you're right on the path, the right path that they wanted you to take. That is not an experience a lot of games can actually give you. I keep stumbling upon those kinds of moments in every game done by Amanita. So, like, is that sort of like how you design the game?
We try to stress that it's not important to beat the game.
Okay.
Finish it as soon as possible. We like players who enjoy the environment, and we want to encourage players to do that and not try to solve it really quickly, like get to the end and that's it. Ultimately, all games are about fun and about entertainment.
Yeah.
But we try to have it on our mind all the time.
If you talk to most game developers, they will not incorporate useless things in their games, right? Why? Why?
Simply because it's fun. Because it's the main goal.
How many more projects can you start like this? How many more?
That's a good question, because in my life I have maybe 3 more games and then I'm done.
Then the
Lucky,
naivety will stop, I guess.
No, my life will stop.
Here we go again.
When you finish the game, it's something which nobody could take out of you. It will stay with you for the rest of your life, and that's really cool.
There have been times where people thought that games needed points and that games needed, maybe shooting mechanics, for instance. But we're far beyond that right now. There are narrative games. There are walking simulator games. We can go into an hour-long conversation about what a game is, but the definition of a game has changed, and it's still changing.
When I came back to Montreal, it was like a completely different landscape.
Do you think that the indie scene here in Montreal would have grown even without all these big studios?
No.